A few weeks ago, I decided to settle an argument I've seen play out in the comments section over and over again. People are always split into two camps: the ones who swear Dollar Tree is secretly one of the smartest places to shop, and the ones who think you're better off just going to Walmart and paying a little more for something that actually works. So I did the only fair thing I could think of. I picked 12 everyday categories, went to both stores on the same day, bought comparable items in each one, and tested them side by side at home. Some of the results were exactly what you'd expect. A few of them genuinely surprised me, including one category where the more expensive Walmart option turned out to be the worst choice by almost every measure. Stick with me through all 12 rounds, because the final scorecard at the end might completely change where you go first for your next shopping trip. Before we get into it, I want to be upfront about how I set this up, because I wanted it to actually mean something rather than just being a random opinion piece. Every single item was bought on the same day, tested under the same conditions, by more than one person whenever taste or preference was involved, and I tried to pick categories that cover almost everything a normal household actually buys on a weekly or monthly basis, not just the obvious comparisons everyone already assumes they know the answer to. Round 1. Cleaning sponges. At Dollar Tree, a pack of 6 basic sponges runs about $1.25. At Walmart, a similar 6-pack from a recognizable brand costs around $3. I used one from each pack every day for a week on regular kitchen cleanup. Dishes, counters, the usual mess. The Walmart sponge held its shape noticeably longer, staying firm through more scrubbing sessions before it started falling apart at the edges. The Dollar Tree sponge worked fine for the first 3 or 4 days, but by day 5, it had started to break down at the corners and lost some of its scrubbing texture. For light, occasional use, the Dollar Tree version is a perfectly reasonable deal. But if you're someone who does dishes every single day and wants a sponge that lasts a full week without falling apart, Walmart wins this round, mostly because of the higher density foam they use. Round 1 goes to Walmart. It's worth mentioning that the price gap here isn't huge in absolute terms. We're talking about a difference of less than $2 for the whole pack. But over the course of a year, if you're replacing sponges every week or two, that difference adds up more than people expect, and durability actually ends up mattering more than the sticker price alone would suggest. Round 2 takes us to the snack aisle, and this one flips the script almost immediately. Round 2, individually wrapped snack packs. Dollar Tree sells small bags of chips, crackers, and cookies for $1.25 each, while Walmart's multi-pack boxes of the same size, same portions, work out to roughly $1.40 per bag once you divide the box price. On top of the higher per unit cost, several of the Walmart multi-packs I bought were clearly nearing their sell-by date, tucked toward the back of a slower-moving shelf. The Dollar Tree versions, by comparison, had fresher dates and, in a blind taste test with 2 other people in my house, actually won on taste for 3 out of the 4 snack types we tried. This one surprised me the most, because I expected the name brand box from Walmart to win easily. Instead, the individually priced Dollar Tree snacks were cheaper, fresher, and preferred in taste more often than not. Round 2 goes to Dollar Tree, and it's not particularly close. What struck me most about this round wasn't just the price or the taste test results, it was realizing how much shelf turnover matters at a smaller store. Because Dollar Tree items are priced to move quickly and restocked often in smaller batches, you're less likely to end up with something that's been sitting in a warehouse or on a slow shelf for months, which is exactly the kind of thing that can happen with bulk multi-packs at a bigger store if a particular flavor isn't selling as fast. Round 3 moves into the greeting card aisle, a category that seems small until you actually calculate the yearly cost difference. Round 3. Greeting cards. A single greeting card at Walmart, especially from a well-known licensed brand, can run anywhere from $4 to $7 depending on the occasion. At Dollar Tree, a comparable card, sometimes even featuring a similar style of artwork and a blank inside for a personal message, costs $1.25. I sent both versions to friends without telling them which was which, and not a single person could tell me afterward which card came from which store. The paper stock felt slightly heavier on the Walmart card, and the envelope was a touch sturdier, but for the actual purpose of a greeting card, sending a thoughtful message, both did the exact same job. If you send even a handful of cards a year for birthdays and holidays, this single category alone can save you $20 or $30 annually, without anyone ever noticing a difference. Round 3 is a clear win for Dollar Tree. What made this comparison especially interesting was watching people's reactions when I revealed which card came from which store afterward. Most were genuinely shocked, because in their mind, a cheaper card automatically meant a flimsier or less thoughtful gesture, and this test pretty clearly showed that isn't the case. Round 4 brings us into the kitchen utensil aisle, where the differences become a lot more obvious the moment you start actually cooking. Round 4, kitchen utensils, specifically a basic slotted spatula. Dollar Tree's version costs $1.25 and is made from a thinner, more flexible plastic. Walmart's equivalent, a similar spatula from a recognizable kitchen brand, costs around $4 and uses a noticeably thicker, more rigid plastic with a sturdier handle. I used both to flip pancakes, eggs, and stir-fry over the course of a week. The Dollar Tree spatula worked fine for lighter tasks like flipping pancakes, but it flexed uncomfortably when I tried to lift something heavier like a full stir-fry portion, to the point where I was genuinely worried about it snapping under real pressure near a hot pan. The Walmart version held firm through every single test without any flex or wobble. For anyone who cooks regularly and needs a utensil that can handle real weight near high heat, this round goes decisively to Walmart. And honestly, this is the kind of item where I think spending the extra few dollars is genuinely worth it. A spatula isn't something you replace often, so the cost difference gets spread out over years of use, which makes the sturdier option feel like an even better value once you think about it that way, rather than as a single one-time purchase. Round 5 takes us to something almost everyone buys without thinking twice. Round 5, disposable plastic cups for parties and gatherings. A stack of 50 at Dollar Tree runs about $1.50. A comparable brand name stack of 50 at Walmart costs closer to $4. I filled both with water and ice and left them out for 2 hours to see how they'd hold up at a normal gathering. Both cups performed almost identically. No leaking, no cracking, no noticeable difference in rigidity when held. The Walmart cups were slightly more transparent and had a marginally thicker rim, small cosmetic differences that most guests at a party would never notice or care about. Unless you're hosting something extremely formal where cup clarity actually matters for presentation, there's no real functional reason to pay nearly 3 times more here. Round 5 is a clear win for Dollar Tree, especially if you're buying in bulk for a bigger event, where the price difference multiplies quickly. I actually ran the math on this one for a party of 30 people, and the total savings on cups alone was enough to cover a good chunk of another category on this list entirely, which really puts into perspective how much these small per-item differences can add up once you're shopping for a group rather than just yourself. Round 6 moves us into the health and beauty aisle, and this is where things get a little more nuanced. Round 6, basic adhesive bandages. Dollar Tree's box of 30 costs $1.25. Walmart's name brand box of similar count runs around $5. I tested both on small cuts over a couple of weeks, checking adhesion strength and how well they stayed on through normal daily movement, including a shower. The Walmart bandages had noticeably stronger, more flexible adhesive that stayed put through a full day and a shower without peeling at the edges. The Dollar Tree bandages worked fine for the first several hours, but tended to start lifting at the corners by evening, especially on areas of skin that moved a lot, like fingers or knuckles. I also noticed the Walmart bandages had a slightly more breathable material, which seemed to reduce irritation around the edges after wearing one for a longer stretch of time, something that only became noticeable after several hours rather than in the first quick glance at either product. For a quick, temporary cover on a minor scrape, the Dollar Tree version is completely fine, but if you need a bandage to genuinely stay put through a full active day, Walmart's stronger adhesive earns this round. I'll add that for households with active kids who are constantly running around, climbing, and getting into scrapes, this is one of those categories where the cheaper option can end up costing you more in the long run, simply because you go through so many more of them trying to keep a wound covered throughout the day. Round 7 brings us to an item that surprised almost everyone I showed the results to afterward. Round 7, aluminum foil. A roll at Dollar Tree costs $1.25 and offers about 75 square feet. A similarly sized roll at Walmart from a recognizable brand costs around $3 for roughly the same square footage. I tested both by wrapping food for baking, covering dishes in the fridge, and using them to line a baking sheet. The thickness felt nearly identical in hand, and neither roll tore easily during normal folding and wrapping. The one small difference I noticed was that the Walmart foil tore slightly more cleanly along the box's built-in cutting edge, while the Dollar Tree roll occasionally required a second attempt to get a clean, straight tear. Beyond that minor convenience difference, the actual foil performance, heat resistance, durability, wrapping quality was essentially identical in every test I ran. For more than double the price with barely a noticeable difference, this round goes to Dollar Tree without much hesitation. This is honestly one of the categories I'd point to first if someone asked me where the biggest, most painless savings are hiding in plain sight, because it's a product almost every household buys regularly, and the performance gap here was genuinely close to non-existent. Round 8 takes us into the world of school and office supplies, where quantity often matters just as much as quality. Round 8, Ballpoint pens. A 12-pack at Dollar Tree runs $1.25. A comparable 12-pack of a well-known brand at Walmart costs around $6. I used both sets for regular note-taking and writing over the course of a week, testing ink flow, skipping, and how smoothly each pen wrote on different types of paper. The Walmart pens had noticeably smoother, more consistent ink flow with almost zero skipping, even on cheaper, more textured paper. The Dollar Tree pens worked well most of the time but skipped occasionally, especially at the start of writing after the pen had been sitting unused for a day or two. I also tested both sets on glossy paper specifically, since that tends to be where cheaper pens struggle the most, and the gap widened even further there, with the Dollar Tree pens skipping noticeably more often on that smoother surface compared to regular notebook paper. For everyday casual use, taking quick notes, filling out a form, the Dollar Tree pens are fine, but if you write frequently and care about consistent ink flow, especially for things like signing documents or taking detailed notes, Walmart's smoother, more reliable pens make this round a win for them. That said, if you're a student or someone who goes through pens quickly and loses them constantly, the sheer value of getting 12 pens for $1.25 might still make more practical sense than protecting a smaller number of higher quality pens you're more likely to misplace anyway. Round 9 moves into pet supplies, an aisle a lot of pet owners specifically ask me about. Round 9, basic pet toys, specifically a simple rope chew toy. Dollar Tree's version costs $1.25 and uses a thinner braided rope. Walmart's comparable toy from a pet specialty brand costs around $7 and uses a thicker, more tightly woven rope with reinforced ends. I gave both to a friend's dog for a week of normal daily chewing to see how they'd hold up. The Dollar Tree rope toy started fraying at the ends within just 3 days of regular chewing, with loose strands starting to come apart that could potentially be a choking risk if swallowed. The Walmart toy showed some wear too, but held its shape and stayed intact through the full week without the same loose fraying. For pet safety specifically, this is a category where I'd actually recommend spending the extra money, since a fraying toy isn't just a durability issue, it's a genuine safety concern for a dog that chews aggressively. Round 9 goes clearly to Walmart. Pet safety is one of those areas where I genuinely think it's worth ignoring the price difference altogether, because the downside of getting it wrong isn't just wasted money, it's a real risk to an animal that can't tell you something's wrong until it's already a problem. And that's simply not a category where I'd recommend cutting corners regardless of budget. Round 10 brings us to an aisle most people don't think about until a holiday is suddenly a week away. Round 10, gift wrap and gift bags. A roll of wrapping paper at Dollar Tree costs $1.25 and covers roughly 25 square feet. A comparable roll at Walmart runs around $4 for a similar coverage area. I wrapped several test boxes with each roll, checking paper thickness, how easily it tore during wrapping, and how well it held a crease. The Dollar Tree paper was slightly thinner and occasionally tore if folded too sharply around a corner, requiring a bit more careful handling. The Walmart paper was noticeably more forgiving, holding creases better and tearing less during tighter folds around box corners. That said, once wrapped and displayed under a tree or on a gift table, the visual difference between the two was almost impossible to notice from a normal viewing distance. For anyone wrapping a large number of gifts and looking to save money without a real visual trade-off, Dollar Tree gets this round, with the small caveat that a little extra care while folding goes a long way. If you're wrapping a large number of gifts during a busy holiday season, this is exactly the kind of category where the savings really stack up. Since you're often buying several rolls at once rather than just one, and that price gap multiplies quickly across an entire shopping list. Round 11 takes us into the food storage aisle, a category I actually covered in more detail in another video. Round 11, sandwich and snack bags. A box of 50 at Dollar Tree costs $1.25. A comparable box at Walmart from a well-known brand costs around $3. I tested both for sealing strength, filling each with a liquid, and checking for leaks, and testing how well the zip seal held up after repeated opening and closing. The Walmart bags had a noticeably more reliable seal, closing smoothly every single time with almost no effort, while the Dollar Tree bags occasionally required a second attempt to fully seal, especially after the third or fourth time reopening the same bag. For quick, single-use snack storage, the Dollar Tree version works fine, but if you're reusing bags multiple times or storing anything liquid that truly needs a leak-proof seal, Walmart's more reliable zip mechanism makes this round a win for them. It's a small enough difference that most people probably wouldn't notice it in casual daily use, but once you start specifically testing the seal under pressure the way I did here, the gap becomes obvious pretty quickly, especially if you're the type of person who reuses bags multiple times before tossing them out. And finally, round 12, the category that ties everything together and might be the most useful comparison on this entire list. Round 12, laundry detergent. Specifically, a small travel or trial size bottle. Dollar Tree sells a smaller bottle for $1.25 that handles roughly 8 loads of laundry. Walmart's smallest comparable size from a recognizable detergent brand costs around $5 for a similar load count. I ran identical loads of laundry with each detergent, using the same washing machine, the same water temperature, and comparable levels of soiling on each batch of clothes. The cleaning performance was genuinely almost identical. Both removed regular everyday dirt and light stains just as effectively, and neither left a noticeable residue or scent difference on the finished laundry. The one place the Walmart detergent pulled slightly ahead was on a tougher, set-in stain, where it performed marginally better after one wash cycle compared to the Dollar Tree version needing a second treatment. For regular, everyday laundry, Dollar Tree performs essentially the same for a fraction of the price. For households dealing with frequent tough stains, kids, sports, outdoor work, Walmart's slightly stronger formula might be worth the extra cost. This round is close enough that I'm calling it a near tie, with a slight edge to Walmart specifically for tough stain performance. If your laundry mostly consists of everyday clothes without heavy staining, the Dollar Tree option genuinely holds its own here, and the savings on something you buy repeatedly every single month can quietly add up to some of the biggest yearly savings on this entire list, even if the difference isn't dramatic on any single wash. So here's the final scorecard after all 12 rounds. Dollar Tree won 5 categories outright: snacks, greeting cards, plastic cups, aluminum foil, and gift wrap. Walmart won 5 categories: cleaning sponges, kitchen utensils, adhesive bandages, ballpoint pens, and pet toys. And 2 rounds, sandwich bags and laundry detergent, leaned toward Walmart by a smaller margin without being a complete blowout. What this tells me, and what I genuinely didn't expect going into this test, is that neither store is objectively better across the board. The pattern that emerged was actually pretty consistent. For paper products, party supplies, and packaged food, Dollar Tree holds up remarkably well and often wins outright. For anything involving durability under repeated stress, tools, adhesives, writing instruments, pet products, spending a bit more at Walmart tends to pay off in the long run. It also became pretty clear that store brand versus name brand matters less than the actual category of product itself, since even within Walmart's shelves, some of their own store brand items performed closer to Dollar Tree quality than to their premium name brand options, which tells you the price gap isn't purely about where you shop, it's about what specific product you're buying and how it's engineered to hold up over time. Personally, this experiment changed how I shop at both stores. I'm not loyal to one over the other anymore. I've started treating it more like a category-by-category decision, grabbing party supplies and snacks at Dollar Tree, and saving the sturdier, more frequently used items for Walmart. If you take one thing away from this whole comparison, it's that the smartest way to shop isn't picking a favorite store and sticking to it out of habit. It's knowing which specific categories actually reward the lower price, and which ones are worth paying a little more for peace of mind. Next time you're deciding where to run your errands, keep this scorecard in mind, because splitting your shopping list between the 2 stores based on category might genuinely save you more money than loyalty to either one ever could. I also want to be honest that prices and product formulations can shift over time and vary a little by location, so treat this less as a permanent rulebook and more as a general pattern worth keeping in mind. The bigger lesson from this whole experiment isn't really about these two specific stores at all. It's about testing your own assumptions every once in a while, instead of assuming the more expensive option is automatically better or that the cheaper option is automatically worse. Sometimes the biggest name on the shelf wins because it genuinely performs better, and sometimes it's just winning because of the brand name printed on the front. The only way to actually know the difference is to test it yourself, the same way we did across these 12 rounds today.